Welcome to Sci-Fi Bedtime Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Welcome, listeners, to Sci-Fi Bedtime Stories. Remember to like and subscribe so you never miss our new tales. Now relax and let the journey begin. A massive explosion ripped the slave ship apart. Adam burst through the smoke-choked corridor, hawk-sharp eyes instantly scanning the dim, chaotic holding area. Cages lined walls, most empty, save one. Inside sat a woman unlike any Adam had seen. Her skin a mesmerizing blue, figure perfectly sculpted, but her eyes truly captivated him, pools of defiance masking a storm of despair. Adam's mind raced, processing details. Fresh scratches marred cage bars. Faint blood stained her knuckles. A subtle tremor shook her shoulders from exertion. "You tried to escape recently," he stated, a stark fact. Her eyes widened, shock fracturing her composure. "How did you—" "No time!" Adam cut her off, fingers blurring over the lock. "I'm Adam. I'm getting you out." The cage door groaned open. She hesitated, torn between distrust and desperate hope. "You're strong," Adam noted, observing defined muscles beneath her azure skin. "Good. We'll need it. Come on." She rose, graceful despite confinement. "I'm Rui." Adam nodded curtly, already moving. "Stay close, Rui. Stay quiet." They crept through corridors, Adam's eyes constantly roving. He cataloged every detail: worn floor patches indicating frequent patrols, discoloration around panels suggesting hidden security. "3 cameras in the next junction," he whispered. 12 seconds blind spot when we round the corner. Move fast." Rui stared, bewildered. "How could you know that?" Adam's lips quirked in a humorless smile. "I notice things." They sprinted across the junction, Adam's timing impeccable, pressing against the wall. Rui's breath hitched in sharp gasps. "Who are you?" she hissed. "Someone who knows what it's like to be a slave," Adam replied, voice hard. "Quiet. Guard approaching." Heavy footsteps echoed moments later. Adam tensed, ready to strike. As the guard rounded the corner, Adam's hand shot out, catching his throat in a vice-like grip. A quick, brutal twist, and the guard crumpled silently. Rui's eyes widened, a mixture of fear and admiration. "You're very good at this." "Necessity," Adam grunted, moving. 2 levels down to the escape pods. "Ready to run?" Rui nodded, determination replacing fear. They descended, Adam dispatching guards with ruthless efficiency. Rui marveled at his fluid movements, how he anticipated every threat. As they reached the escape pod bay, alarms blared. "They've realized you're gone," Adam cursed, punching in launch codes. 3 minutes before this place swarms." The pod door hissed open. Adam ushered Rui inside, then paused, keen eyes sweeping the bay. "What is it?" Rui asked, anxiety creeping in. Adam's brow furrowed. "Something's not right. Security response too slow, too predictable. Almost as if—" A massive explosion rocked the ship, cutting him off. Adam dove into the pod, slamming the launch button as they jettisoned into space. The slave ship erupted into a fireball behind them. In the sudden silence of the escape pod, Rui turned to Adam, blue skin pale with shock. What just happened?" Adam's eyes were hard, calculating. "Someone else wanted that ship destroyed, powerful enough to override its security systems." He met Rui's gaze. "Which begs the question, how valuable are you, exactly?" Rui swallowed hard, fear and uncertainty warring in her expression. I don't know." Adam studied her, taking in every detail. Fine clothing quality, imperceptible accent, how she held herself. His mind connected dots. "You're not just any slave," he said, slowly. "You're important, dangerous to the wrong people." Rui's shoulders slumped, fight draining from her. My family. They sold me. Said it was for our people's good. I never understood why. Adam's expression softened. Political intrigue. Galactic power plays. You were a pawn in someone else's brutal game. Rui looked up, a spark of defiance returning. A ghost of a smile, cold and knowing, touched Adam's lips. Now, you're a wild card, and in my experience, those are the most dangerous pieces on the board. The pod hurtled through space, leaving destruction behind. As Rui gazed at the star-studded void, she felt this was only the beginning of a much larger story. Adam's voice broke her reverie. We need to find somewhere to lay low. I know a place in the Outer Rim, but it won't be comfortable. Rui turned to him, a rising smile on her face. After that cage, anything's an improvement. Adam chuckled, a rare, low sound that seemed to promise a new, uncertain future. No shock, even for him, Adam conceded. A valid perspective. Still, this won't be straightforward. We'll be relentlessly pursued, huh? Rui lifted an eyebrow. You don't need to get more deeply involved. You've already gone far beyond what was expected. Adam's countenance shifted to one of profound seriousness. I made a commitment the moment I liberated you from that confinement. I never abandon my endeavors halfway. Rui observed him intently, her curiosity eclipsing her innate caution. What compelled you to rescue me? We are strangers, and you owe me absolutely nothing. Adam remained silent for a considerable duration, his gaze lost in distant memories. When he finally spoke, his voice was subdued, laced with an old sorrow. Because a long time ago, someone extended the same kindness to me, and I vowed to reciprocate when the opportunity arose. The raw vulnerability in his confession deeply resonated with Rui. She reached out, pausing only for a fleeting instant before resting her hand on his arm. Thank you, she murmured softly. Adam initially stiffened at her touch, then gradually eased. He cleared his throat, clearly finding the shared moment of connection somewhat awkward. Yes, well, don't thank me yet. We must first survive long enough to uncover the motive behind someone desiring you so intensely they'd obliterate an entire slave vessel. Rui gently withdrew her hand, yet a faint smile touched her lips. At least the company will be engaging. Adam emitted a short, sharp laugh. Engagement is synonymous with safety. It implies enduring to witness another dawn. And yet here you are, saving unfamiliar alien women and forging formidable adversaries, Rui countered. Indeed, Adam admitted. He turned toward the pod's navigation systems, charting their trajectory. Try to rest, if you can manage it. Once we breach the atmosphere of Zeta 9, events are poised to become considerably more eventful. Rui settled back into her seat, observing Adam's focused efforts. His fingers danced across the console with practiced fluidity, his eyes constantly flitting between the various displays. She was captivated by the intensity of his concentration, the astonishing speed at which he seemed to absorb and process information. You mentioned you noticed details, she ventured after some time. What do you discern about me? Adam briefly regarded her, his gaze sweeping over her in a manner that was more analytical than admiring. You hail from affluent origins, yet you've never known the necessity of manual labor. The calluses on your hands are recent. They were acquired through combat within that enclosure. Your bearing suggests extensive instruction in social graces, but there's an unmistakable air of defiance in the tilt of your chin. He paused, his eyes meeting hers directly. You are afraid, yet you are also furious, and beneath it all, a powerful curiosity burns, a dangerously potent one. Rui's eyes widened, taken aback by the precision of his appraisal. That is remarkable, and frankly, a little unsettling. Adam offered a slight shrug. It has served to keep me alive, up to this point. And what do you believe I perceive about you? Rui inquired, a hint of playful challenge in her tone. Adam's lips curved upward. I suspect you perceive that I am making a considerable effort not to acknowledge your attractiveness. A flush crept up Rui's neck, intensifying the blue of her skin. That isn't precisely what I meant. No. Adam's tone was light, but his gaze remained sharp. Then what was your intention? Rui inhaled deeply, composing her thoughts. I perceive that you carry the weight of past traumas, that your demeanor suggests a man perpetually braced for conflict, and that despite your outwardly gruff disposition, you possess a strong moral compass. It was Adam's turn to display a flicker of surprise. He opened his mouth to reply, but a flashing warning indicator on the console preempted his words. Proximity alert, he stated curtly, his demeanor instantly shifting back to business. It appears we have visitors. Rui leaned forward, her gaze fixed on the monitor. Slavers? Adam shook his head, his expression darkening. Worse, bounty hunters. He met Rui's gaze, his features etched with grim resolve. Brace yourself. This journey is about to become considerably more turbulent. As the pod surged forward, artfully evading the laser fire unleashed by their pursuers, Rui gripped her seat with all her might. Despite the palpable peril, a part of her felt an exhilarating surge of vitality, more potent than anything she had experienced in years. She stole a glance at Adam, his face a mask of intense concentration as he skillfully navigated them through a treacherous expanse of asteroids. Whatever lay ahead, she understood with sudden clarity, her life would unequivocally never be dull again. The escape pod hurtled through the chaotic asteroid field. Adam's hands moved across the controls with an almost preternatural agility. Red flashes of laser fire from the relentless bounty hunters intermittently illuminated the confined cockpit. Hold on tight, Adam commanded, wrenching the steering yoke sharply to the left. The pod bucked violently, narrowly missing a colossal fragment of space debris. Rui clung to her seat, her knuckles turning a stark, pale blue. I thought you claimed you knew how to pilot this craft. I do, Adam replied, a faint hint of amusement playing on his lips. I just never asserted any particular proficiency. A particularly close energy blast jolted the pod, triggering a cascade of blaring alarms. Adam's eyes darted across the instrument panel, his mind rapidly processing the influx of critical data. Our rear deflector array is compromised, he announced, his voice strained. One more impact like that, and we'll be annihilated. Rui's eyes widened in alarm. Please tell me you have a contingency plan. Adam's gaze intently fixed upon a dense cluster of asteroids directly ahead. As a matter of fact, I do. However, I suspect it will not meet with your approval. Before Rui could voice any objection, Adam plunged the pod directly into the very heart of the asteroid swarm. Rui stifled a cry as colossal rocks appeared to hurtle towards them from every conceivable direction. Adam's hands flew across the controls, executing minute adjustments with an astonishing degree of precision. The pod weaved through openings that seemed impossibly narrow, narrowly avoiding catastrophic collisions by mere inches. Behind them, one of the pursuing bounty hunter vessels, attempting to follow their daring maneuver, collided with a massive asteroid and erupted in a spectacular fiery explosion. Their pursuer's luck vanished. It careened into an asteroid, spiraling wildly before detonating in a blinding, silent explosion that lit the void. One down, Adam muttered, his gaze unwavering as their pod shot clear of the asteroid field. Rui exhaled slowly, a breath she hadn't known she'd been trapping. That was unbelievable. Adam allowed himself a fleeting grin. Good. Now let's pray it bought us the time we need. His fingers flew across the console, punching coordinates. The pod's hyperdrive shrieked into life with a jarring lurch. Outside, Stars stretched into dizzying streaks, then melted into the mesmerizing, swirling blue vortex of hyperspace, swallowing them whole. As the immediate rush of their escape receded, Rui observed Adam, his profile etched against the swirling blues of hyperspace. His jaw remained set, eyes flicking across the luminous readouts, anticipating another threat. "Where exactly are we headed?" she finally ventured, her voice a hushed whisper. Adam finally leaned back, a subtle release of tension. "Zeta 9, he answered. "A forgotten speck in the outer rim, little but endless dunes and jagged rock, but it should offer anonymity." Rui gave a small nod, a movement that sent a jolt of pain through her neck, making her wince. Adam's sharp gaze instantly locked onto her. "You're hurt," he stated, reaching for a medkit. "It's nothing," Rui dismissed, but he gently examined the contusion. "Electrical burns," he murmured, his voice tightening with a cold edge. "If I had to guess, standard slaver issue." Rui averted her gaze, shame deepening the blue of her cheeks. "They didn't appreciate my escape attempts." Adam's hands momentarily stilled. When he spoke, his tone was unexpectedly soft. "You're alive. That's what matters." He carefully applied a soothing salve, his movements precise yet kind. Despite lingering fear, Rui felt a strange calm, drawn into a fragile sense of security by the hyperdrive's steady thrum and Adam's unexpected ministrations. "Why are you truly helping me?" Rui pressed, searching his guarded expression. "It can't be just for an old debt." Adam's hand froze on the bandage. A heavy silence descended as his gaze drifted, lost, beyond the pod's window, fixated on something unseen. When he finally spoke, his voice was a low murmur, profound with reluctance. "Because whenever I look at you, I see myself. That same raw fear, that same desperate yearning." He paused, his jaw clenching. "And I remember the crushing weight of powerlessness." Rui slowly turned, fully facing him, seeking answers. For a fleeting instant, she glimpsed beyond his hardened exterior, sensing deep, buried pain. You were a slave too?" she whispered, the realization dawning. Adam's jaw tightened, but he gave a curt nod. "A lifetime ago, but some scars never fade." Rui felt her breath catch. "How do you live with them?" Adam's eyes locked onto hers. In their depths, a complex fusion of old wounds and unyielding resolve. "You don't let them define you. You forge them. They become your armor, your driving force." The sheer vulnerability in his admission resonated deeply. Without conscious thought, her hand extended, gently resting on his forearm. Adam tensed, a flicker of surprise, but he didn't pull away. "Thank you," she breathed, a simple phrase imbued with unspoken understanding. Their gazes held, and for a singular, potent heartbeat, the space between them vibrated with possibility. Then Adam cleared his throat, breaking the spell, retracting slightly. "Get some rest," he commanded gruffly. "We have a few hours before Zeta 9, and I have a feeling we'll need every ounce of energy." Rui nodded, settling back. As she drifted into sleep, lulled by the hyperdrive's drone, her last conscious thought lingered on the enigma beside her. A man capable of chilling efficiency, yet such unexpected, profound kindness. The pod settled onto Zeta 9's barren surface with a jarring thud, kicking up a choking cloud of reddish dust. Adam cut the engines, the sudden silence amplified by the hum of a diagnostic check. "It's not a resort, but we're intact," he stated grimly, hitting the hatch release. With a weary hiss, the ramp lowered, unleashing a blast of scorching, dry air that stung Rui's lungs. She blinked rapidly, shielding her eyes against the blinding glare. "You weren't exaggerating about the sand and rocks," she choked out, grit on her tongue. Adam's lips twitched into a fleeting, lopsided half-smile. "I warned you it wouldn't win beauty contests. Its isolation is our advantage. Off the main lanes, we should be invisible." He stepped out, posture alert, keen eyes sweeping the desolate horizon. The world before them was an ocean of crimson dunes, punctuated by stark outcroppings of wind-sculpted stone. "There's an old abandoned mining outpost roughly 2 clicks east," Adam announced, pointing. "It'll offer shelter and a solid defensive position." Rui nodded, trying to ignore the merciless sunlight prickling against her skin. "Lead the way, then." They began their arduous trek across the relentless dunes, the twin suns beating down with oppressive, unyielding heat. Adam moved with the fluid grace of someone familiar with brutal environments, while Rui struggled, each step exhausting. As they crested a particularly challenging dune, Rui stumbled, her legs giving way. Instantly, Adam's hand shot out, his grip surprisingly gentle as he steadied her. "Are you all right?" he asked, a fleeting flicker of genuine concern crossing his features. Rui nodded, gasping. "Just not quite accustomed to this kind of unforgiving terrain." Adam's eyes narrowed slightly, taking in her. "Details, Rui," Adam said, his voice a low, knowing hum. She couldn't grasp his uncanny intuition. "Your homeworld is lower gravity, isn't it? And the atmosphere? Denser. No wonder you're struggling to adapt here." Rui's eyes widened, shock rippling through her at his uncanny precision. "How could you possibly know that?" A faint smile touched Adam's lips. "It's in your gait, Rui. The subtle sway of your muscles, the fractional pause before each step, as you compensate." A tremor of awe, tinged with unease, traced through Rui as she shook her head. "Is there anything that escapes your notice?" Adam's features tightened, his gaze hardening. "Plenty. But in my line of work, missing details gets you killed." They pressed on, enveloped by a heavy silence, each lost within their thoughts as the derelict structure of the abandoned outpost loomed into view. Abruptly, Adam raised a hand, a silent command for Rui to halt. "What is it?" she breathed, her voice barely a whisper, a cold knot of dread tightening in her stomach. Adam's sharp eyes meticulously swept across the crumbling buildings, absorbing every minute anomaly. "Something's off. The sand around the perimeter. The patterns are disturbed. Someone has been here, and recently." Rui's pulse hammered against her ribs. "Bounty hunters?" Adam subtly shook his head. "No, this feels different. Local scavengers, perhaps, but we must still proceed with extreme caution." He guided them, a phantom of stealth, along the outpost's outer edges. As they neared a half-collapsed storage shed, a fleeting shadow danced at the periphery of Rui's vision. Before she could even process it, Adam was a blur of motion, tackling her hard to the gritty earth just as a searing blaster bolt hissed through the empty space where her head had been moments prior. "Stay down!" Adam's command ripped through the air as he spring-rolled back onto his feet. 3 gaunt figures materialized from the decaying ruins, clutching an array of crudely fashioned weapons. Their tattered clothing screamed of their plight. Desperate locals, carving out a harsh existence on this unforgiving world. "We don't want any trouble," Adam called out, his hands held open, a gesture of peace. "We're simply seeking shelter." The leader, a human scarred by hard living, with stark cybernetic implants glinting cruelly in the unfiltered sunlight, curled his lip in a sneer. "Shelter ain't free, off-worlder. You wish to remain, you pay the toll." Adam's gaze flickered, a rapid dance between each of the scavengers, his mind swiftly evaluating the potential danger. Rui could almost feel the silent, complex equations unfolding behind his eyes. "How about a trade, instead?" Adam proposed, his voice even. "We carry ample supplies in our pod. Food, fresh water, medical provisions. More than enough to make this transaction highly beneficial for you." The scavengers exchanged hungry, calculating glances, their greed a palpable thing. But the leader's cybernetic eye, chillingly precise, locked onto Rui. "Or perhaps," he rasped, a low growl rumbling in his chest, "we simply take the girl. She'd fetch a substantial price, I'd wager, with the right buyer." Adam's stance altered almost imperceptibly, yet Rui felt the sudden, palpable surge of lethal tension emanating from him. When he spoke, his voice was a whisper, cold and utterly devoid of warmth. "That," he stated, "is not an option." The leader's stained teeth bared in a wider, uglier grin. "Ain't up to you, pretty boy." He began to raise his crude blaster, but Adam was already a phantom of motion, a lightning blur too swift for Rui's eyes to track. He closed the gap in an instant. A sickening crack echoed as Adam's fist found the leader's jaw, sending him sprawling like a broken doll. The remaining two scavengers instinctively opened fire, but Adam was already ahead, anticipating their every move. He plunged into a dive, rolled seamlessly, and came up with the leader's dropped weapon in his grasp. 2 surgically precise shots later, and the scavengers lay writhing, clutching wounds that were painful, but clearly non-lethal. Rui watched, her eyes wide with disbelief, as Adam, with unnerving composure, systematically disarmed their defeated assailants. That was incredible." Adam offered a dismissive shrug, yet Rui could discern the subtle tremor of adrenaline still coursing beneath his skin. "As I told you, in my line of work, precise assessment of people and situations is paramount for survival." He turned his attention to the leader, who was slowly, painfully, pushing himself upright, a crimson stain blossoming from his undoubtedly broken nose. "Now, let us reevaluate our options. We require shelter. You clearly need supplies. I believe we can broker an agreement that ensures no further injury. What do you say?" The leader's gaze was venomous, but he gave a grudging nod. "Fine, but don't mistake this for friendship." Adam's lips curved in a brief, devoid of humor smile. The thought hadn't crossed my mind. Guiding the injured scavengers into the dim, slightly cooler interior of the outpost's main structure, Rui found her perception of Adam fundamentally altered. His ruthless efficiency in neutralizing the threat had been startling, but it was the deliberate, controlled decision to disable rather than kill that truly captivated her. Once settled, Adam meticulously tended to the scavenger's wounds, his movements displaying the same cool, almost clinical precision he'd applied to Rui's injuries earlier. While he worked, he maintained a soft, continuous stream of seemingly innocuous questions, subtly extracting crucial intel about the planet, any recent arrivals, and looming dangers. Rui silently marveled at his uncanny ability to gather profound information under the guise of casual conversation. By the time he finished, she was convinced he possessed a deeper understanding of Zeta 9 than many who had dwelled there for years. Night descended, blanketing the desolate landscape in a bone-chilling cold that seeped into the very stone. Adam and Rui withdrew to a small, private chamber they had claimed. Without a moment's hesitation, Adam began systematically fortifying their refuge, meticulously setting makeshift alarms and ensuring unobstructed lines of sight. Rui observed his focused movements, a profound question simmering on her tongue, refusing to be silenced. Finally, she yielded to the urgency within her. "Earlier, with those scavengers," she started, her voice laced with tentative curiosity, "you could have ended them so easily. Why didn't you?" Adam froze, his movements ceasing, his back still facing her. A profound silence stretched between them, heavy and resonant, and Rui's heart clenched with the fear that she had intruded too far. When at last he spoke, his voice was a low murmur, thick with the distant echo of a painful memory. "Because a long, long time ago. So, I saw compassion flicker when it would have been easier to destroy me. That changed everything." He turned, and Rui gasped at the raw intensity burning in his gaze. Life's cheap on the rim, but it's still precious. Rui nodded, a new facet of this enigmatic man revealed. You're a maze of surprises, Adam. A whisper of a smile grazed his lips. I try to keep things stimulating. As night settled, Rui was acutely aware of Adam's nearness. He was a mystery she couldn't decipher, blending ruthless efficiency with unexpected empathy. Just as sleep beckoned, a thought resonated. Adam, she breathed, thank you for saving me, yet again. In darkness, she couldn't discern his expression, only the slight hitch of his breath. Rest, Rui. Something tells me we'll desperately need it. As slumber embraced her, Rui's last thought was that perhaps she'd found someone she could trust in this indifferent galaxy. The Zeta-9 sun streamed through the dilapidated outpost, snapping Adam awake. His eyes flared, instantly sharp. Years of instinct had him reaching for his blaster before he fully registered the soft, rhythmic beeping emanating from the makeshift comm array he'd rigged up. He glanced at Rui, still peacefully asleep on her makeshift bed. The cerulean of her skin seemed to glow softly, a stark reminder of her uniqueness, her value. Adam allowed himself a fleeting moment to study her, noting the gentle rise and fall of her chest, the slight crease in her brow even in sleep. Then he banished the distraction and moved silently to the comm unit. The message was encrypted, but Adam's fingers danced across the interface, quickly bypassing the security protocols. As the data filled the screen, his eyes widened in disbelief. This was far larger than he'd envisioned. Rui, he said quietly, his voice tight with urgency. Wake up. We have a serious problem. Rui stirred, her eyes blinking open, instantly alert to the strain in Adam's voice. What is it? She asked, fear edging her tone. Adam's jaw clenched as he processed the terrible information before him. It's worse than we thought. The slave trade. It goes all the way to the top. The Galactic Council is implicated. Rui sat up, shock twisting her features. That's impossible. The Council is supposed to protect. They're supposed to do a lot of things. Adam cut her off, bitterness dripping from his words. But power corrupts absolutely, and there's no greater power than owning another being. He swung the screen towards her, highlighting damning details. Look at these shipping manifests, these coded financial transactions. They're using diplomatic immunity to move slaves, laundering fortunes through fake corporations. Rui's eyes darted over the information, her face growing paler with each horrific revelation. Suddenly she stopped, her finger hovering over a name. No, she whispered, her voice barely audible, filled with horror. It can't be. Adam leaned closer, following her gaze. His sharp eyes instantly caught the name. A high-ranking official from Rui's home planet? He stated. Not a question, but a statement of terrible fact. You recognize them? Rui nodded, her voice flat. It's my father. The silence that followed was heavy, pregnant with shock and utter betrayal. Adam watched as a maelstrom of emotions ravaged Rui's face. Disbelief, white-hot anger, crushing grief. I'm so sorry, he said softly, surprised by the genuine empathy welling within him. Rui's eyes snapped to his, filled with a steely determination that made him almost take a step back. Don't be. This stops now. Adam nodded, a plan solidifying in his mind. We need to expose this, dismantle the entire operation. But it won't be easy. We're talking about some of the most influential figures in the galaxy. Then we'll need to be smarter, Rui said, her voice gathering strength. Faster. Better. A ghost of a smile touched Adam's lips. Now you're speaking my language. He swung back to the comm unit, fingers flying across the keys. I've got some contacts, people who are in debt to me. We'll need resources, secure transportation. As he spoke, outlining the bare bones of a plan, He could feel Rui's unwavering gaze on him. When he glanced up, he was struck by the intensity in her eyes. "What?" he asked, suddenly self-conscious. "You're in your element," she observed, a note of admiration in her voice. "This is what you do, isn't it? Take on insurmountable odds, right terrible wrongs." Adam shrugged, uncomfortable with the open admiration. "I just do what needs doing." Rui stepped closer, her hand resting lightly on his arm. "Well, I'm grateful you're on my side." For a heartbeat, Adam allowed himself to feel the warmth of her touch, the growing connection between them. Then he cleared his throat, refocusing. "We'll need to move with incredible speed," he said, already packing their meager supplies. "Every moment we linger gives them an opportunity to erase their tracks." Rui nodded, her face determined. "Where do we begin?" Adam's eyes glittered with danger and something akin to dark excitement. "We go straight to the beating heart of it all. The Galactic Council's Leaving the sanctuary of their hidden outpost on Centaur Prime felt like a plunge into the unknown. Adam couldn't help but watch Rui. Her transformation was remarkable. The terrified slave he'd saved had vanished, replaced by a resolute warrior. Pride mixed with apprehension as he recognized the potent force she was becoming. "Ready to do this?" he asked, standing at the threshold of their refuge. Rui's gaze burned with fierce resolve, her blue skin practically glowing. "Ready," she answered with unwavering strength. Hand in hand, they ventured into Zeta 9's blinding sunlight, turning their backs on safety and striding toward a galactic reckoning. Hyperspace jumps blurred into frantic planning sessions as they raced toward their goal. Adam leveraged every favor he could, scraping together the resources for their audacious plan. Rui amazed him, absorbing lessons in stealth, combat, and deception with unnerving speed. As Centauri Prime materialized before their stolen ship, Adam felt tension grip his core. The planet shimmered, a tapestry of bustling cities and sculpted landscapes. It was strikingly beautiful, but concealing a heart of corruption. "Impressive, wouldn't you say?" Rui whispered, her eyes fixed on the vibrant world. Adam merely grunted, manipulating the ship's controls to begin their approach. "Don't let it fool you. There's a darkness festering beneath all that beauty." Rui's expression turned sharp and hard. "Then let's expose it." They landed quietly at a private spaceport on the city's edge. Adam's eyes scanned everything, cataloging the landing pad's worn spots, the security camera positions, the nervous energy of the workers. It all painted a picture that made him uneasy. "We're being watched," he warned Rui as they headed for the exit. Rui nodded almost invisibly, relaxed but alert. "I noticed. That man by the fuel pumps hasn't actually fueled any ships since we got here." Adam allowed a faint smile. She was learning quickly. They moved with the crowd, blending among beings from countless worlds. Adam steered them along a winding, unpredictable route. They seemed like lost tourists, but Adam was shaking off surveillance and gathering information with each calculated turn. Night found them in a grimy bar in the industrial quarter. The clientele was rough: dock workers, petty criminals, people who liked to operate in the shadows. Adam took a booth in the back, his eyes constantly scanning. Rui, cloaked and hooded, sat across from him. "Okay," she said quietly. "What's the plan?" Adam leaned in, his voice a whisper. "We need to infiltrate the Council's networks. The main hub is 2 levels below the chamber. If we can get in, we can leak everything, exposing the whole vile operation." Rui's eyes widened slightly. "That's going to be very difficult. Security will be intense." A hint of a smile touched Adam's lips. "That's where you'll take the lead. Your father's access code should still be valid. That gets us in the door, then I'll handle the rest." At the mention of her father, Rui's face shadowed, but she nodded firmly. "Once we have the data, We send it everywhere. Every news outlet, every government, everyone in the galaxy with a comms unit. Adam's eyes burned with purpose. We bring down their entire rotten structure with one strike. As he spoke, Adam's gaze caught a flicker by the bar. A man in plain clothes was watching them intently, his hand near a weapon. We've got company, Adam muttered, feigning ease, his muscles ready. When I say so, go to the back. Don't stop, don't look back. Rui nodded, her face betraying nothing. The next moments exploded into chaos. Adam flipped the table at their attacker. In the same breath, he drew his blaster, hitting the man's shoulder, sending him down. Now, Adam yelled, heading for the exit. They burst into the darkness as shouts followed them. Adam guided them through alleys and service corridors, using his knowledge of the city to their advantage. Finally, slowing to catch their breath, Adam glanced back. They breathed in the oppressive air, dwarfed by the colossal hab structure. Rui, her eyes alight with both terror and exhilaration, faced Adam. Just how did you figure it out? She whispered, breathless. The assassin? The escape route? Everything. Adam's gaze locked onto hers, a ghost of a smile gracing his lips, an oddity given the perilous situation. I told you, I'm observant. I pick up on subtleties. He paused. The concealed weapon's subtle outline, the untouched drink. The exits? Let's just say prior jobs necessitated quick departures. Rui shook her head, awe evident in her expression. You are truly amazing. Do you know that? For a fleeting moment, the hardened facade that always shrouded Adam crumbled, and Rui caught a glimpse of raw emotion, unguarded and sincere. But before he could respond, the piercing shriek of approaching sirens shattered the moment. We're out of time. We need to move, now, Adam barked, his voice hard and professional once more. The council building is a stone's throw. It's our only chance. Rui nodded, her face a mask of fierce resolve. Then let's bring this to an end. Like specters, they navigated the city, Adam's inherent familiarity with the city's labyrinthine streets helping them evade patrols and security. As the towering Galactic Council headquarters materialized before them, Adam felt that familiar surge of adrenaline, a heady mix of tension and anticipation. This was his element, the impossible mission, the chance to deliver galactic justice. But when his eyes found Rui's, he saw the fire burning in her gaze, and a shift occurred within him. He wasn't just fighting for a cause anymore. For the first time in a long time, he was fighting for someone. The realization was both intoxicating and terrifying. With Rui's purloined access codes, they slid into the council building via a forgotten service entrance. As they delved deeper into the citadel of galactic authority, Adam's senses were hyper-alert, registering every minute detail. The data hub resides 2 levels below, he murmured, as they took refuge inside a dark office to avoid detection. Once we're in, we have 10 minutes, give or take, before they catch on. Rui nodded grimly, her focus absolute. What do you need me to do? Adam allowed himself a fleeting smile. Cover my back, and be prepared to run for dear life when I give the order. They reached the restricted elevator that led to the data hub. Adam began to bypass the stringent security protocols. Rui remained vigilant, her awareness at a fever pitch. Then the elevator doors hissed and opened, revealing the elevator. They stepped into the elevator, descending down toward the conspiracy. The data hub was an expansive chamber, a sea of blinking servers stretching as far as the eye could see. Adam worked with a fluid intensity, his fingers dancing across the consoles as he initiated the data extraction. ETA? Rui pressed, her eyes sweeping the area. 5 minutes, Adam replied, his focus unflinching. Less if we're fortunate. Fortune, however, seemed to have abandoned them. As the data transfer neared its midpoint, Alarms erupted throughout the facility, filling the space. "We've been compromised," Adam spat, his hands working with furious speed. "Brace yourselves. We have to run." Rui stiffened, ready to run, but a sudden certainty flashed in her eyes. "Wait," she said, her voice ringing with newfound confidence. "I have an idea." Before Adam could object, Rui stepped boldly into the open, throwing back her hood to reveal her distinctive, unmistakable blue skin. As the first security team rounded the corner, weapons raised, she spoke with a regal authority that surprised them. "Stand down," she commanded. "I am Rui, daughter of Counselor Zach Seth. This man is my assigned security, performing an audit of these systems." Adam watched in disbelief as the guards faltered, clearly taken aback by a council member's daughter in a restricted zone. Rui continued, her tone unwavering. "If you have any doubts, contact my father immediately. I assure you he will be delighted to explain why his daughter has taken an interest in the security of this facility." The lead guard lowered his weapon, uncertainty plaguing his features. My lady, we weren't informed of any security check." "That is rather the point of a security assessment. Wouldn't you agree?" Rui countered, her words laced with disdain. "Now, if you will excuse us, we must complete our work." As the guards retreated, unwilling to risk the wrath of a council member, Adam stared at Rui, a grin spreading across his face. "Well, that was quite something," he said. Rui grinned back, the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "You taught me well. Now let's expose those lies." They spun back to the console, the data transfer complete. Adam began broadcasting the damning evidence to every corner of the galaxy. Without exposing the Galactic Council's deep corruption, Adam felt a profound sense of release. Years spent battling an apparently unbeatable foe, now concluded. "It's done," he whispered, almost in disbelief. Rui's hand gently clasped his. "We did it together, my love." Their eyes locked, and a torrent of unspoken emotions surged between them. Instinctively, Adam drew Rui close, their lips meeting in a kiss overflowing with passion and relief. Breaking apart, breathless, Adam chuckled softly. "You know," he grinned wryly, "I usually wait until after escaping to kiss the girl." Rui's eyes sparkled mischievously. "Since when do you play by the rules, flyboy?" Alarms blared, shattering their joy. The resistance ship protecting the guards wouldn't hold forever. They still needed to escape. "Ready for one more dance with danger?" Adam asked, hand instinctively reaching for his blaster. Rui nodded, resolve etched on her face. "Always." Hand in hand, they hurtled towards an uncertain destiny, yet bound together. They would confront every challenge. 5 years passed. On a peaceful world, far from the galactic clamor, Adam stood on his porch. Watching the sunset paint the sky with brilliant light, laughter drew him. He smiled as he saw Rui chasing their young daughter through the field. The corrupt council's fall and the subsequent galactic shift had been turbulent, yet from the chaos, a fairer order was rising. Slavery was outlawed across space, and the rectification of ancient injustices was underway. Adam and Rui, using their unique abilities, had shaped this new future. They had also found what they once thought impossible: a home, a family, belonging. As Rui approached, their giggling daughter in her arms, Adam felt warmth spread through him, eclipsing the setting sun. "What's on your mind?" Rui asked, her azure skin glowing in the golden light. Adam smiled, stroking their daughter's cheek. "Just how far we've traveled, how everything's changed." Rui nodded, understanding his unspoken thoughts. "We've built something beautiful, haven't we?" Their daughter, a blend of both parents with lighter blue skin and Adam's sharp eyes, squirmed in Rui's arms. "Daddy, can we stargaze? You promised to show me where you and Mommy had your first adventure." Adam chuckled, taking the child. "Of course, Frida." After supper. Let's help your mother set the table first. As they turned towards the house, Adam's wrist communicator beeped, his expression hardening momentarily. Rui noticed at once. Another mission? Adam nodded. Trouble brewing in the Outer Rim. Old Guard remnants trying to revive the slave trade. Rui's eyes flashed. We can't allow that, can we? No, we can't, Adam agreed, excitement coursing through him. He looked at Frida. This time, little one, you'll stay with Aunt Zara. Mommy and Daddy have important work. Frida pouted, then brightened. Can I practice my observation skills, like you taught me, Daddy? Adam ruffled her hair, grinning. Absolutely. You'll be the sharpest-eyed kid in the galaxy by the time we get back. As they prepared for the mission and Frida's stay with Aunt Zara, Adam felt profound contentment. The galaxy wasn't perfect, but they were improving it, step by step, together. Their adventure had never stopped, evolving, growing richer. As Adam watched Rui and Frida discussing stargazing, he knew they would face every challenge as a family. The sun vanished, and stars twinkled in the darkening sky. Adam inhaled the cool evening air, feeling at peace. He had found his place, not in a location, but in the hearts of his family. With a last glance at the stars, Adam went inside, ready to embrace the next chapter. With Rui and Frida, no challenge was too daunting. The galaxy was vast, and their greatest journey was just beginning. Well, dear listener, we've arrived at the end of our epic journey. Congratulations on surviving corrupted politicians and dodgy space puns. I hope you pay attention and truly see the subtle details, the dust clinging to a bounty hunter's worn boots, or the tender way your blue-skinned alien love gazes at you beneath the glow of twin suns. If a sudden fire ignites within you to topple a corrupt galactic regime, perhaps begin with something smaller. A simple act like tidying your sock drawer could be your starting point. It's far less likely to land you with a galactic bounty on your head. I extend my heartfelt gratitude for lending me your ears, or whatever wondrous auditory organs you might have, for this brief escapade. Never forget, amidst the universe's boundless wonders, you too are capable of discovering affection, righteousness, and a truly magnificent spaceship. But always be cautious of those wretched tractor beams. Until we meet again on another voyage among the stars, keep your blaster ready and your soul receptive. Perhaps your own dazzling blue-skinned sweetheart awaits just beyond the next swirling nebula.